Hola y bienvenidos a este video sobre las descripciones físicas. Hello and welcome to this video lesson about physical descriptions. We're going to be learning how to describe people's height and body shape in Spanish. Los retos de esta clase son aprender cómo describir la apariencia física de las personas, aprender a usar el verbo ser, que en inglés es to be, y poder describir cómo te ves. Let's get started. A little bit of revision, so hopefully you've seen the video on hair and eye colour. If you haven't, you might want to watch that one first, or you can watch it when you're done with this video. So to talk about hair and eye colour, we use the verb tener, to have. So I have, tengo, you have, tienes, he, she or it has, tiene, we have, tenemos, you plural have, tenéis, and they have, tienen. Then we say los ojos, so the word order is a bit different. I have the eyes blue instead of I have blue eyes. Tengo los ojos azules, marrones, grises, verdes, negros. So the adjectives, the color words, have to agree with the noun, so they become plural. Y el pelo and the hair, and then rubio, blonde, negro, gris, castaño, kind of like brunette, rojo, red or ginger. Y corto, largo, liso, ondulado, rizado. So hopefully that rings some bells and you've seen the video on hair and eye colour. So for that one we use the verb tener. For the next few things we're going to be looking at, we're going to use a different verb, because instead of saying I have hair or eyes of a certain colour, we're going to be saying I am. So in Spanish, to talk about physical appearances, we say I am, soy. Okay, so soy, I am. It's a good joke to remember this, that maybe soy milk is just milk introducing itself in Spanish. Soy bajo, short or baja. Alto or alta, tall. Gordo or gorda, fat. Delgado or delgada, slim, skinny. O mediano, mediana, average height or average weight. So because these words are adjectives, they're describing words, the endings change depending on who they're describing. So if they're describing someone who identifies as male, then we're going to use an O ending. And if they're describing someone who identifies as female, we'll use an A ending. So because I identify as male, I'd say soy alto, I am tall. Soy delgado. Okay, maybe that's a lie. Un poco, a little bit, gordo. Okay, so while we're on this, this vocabulary, pause the video and write down how you describe yourself. Pick one of these words or two of these words. Remember to use more than one word. We can use y, which is just written as a y, and that means and. So I could say, soy alto y delgado. I am tall and slim. So pause the video. If you don't have pen and paper, just read your answer out loud, and then when you're ready, push play. Instead of words like tall, short, fat, thin, average, we can also use other descriptive adjectives like feo or fea, ugly, guapo or guapa, good looking, joven, which means young, remembering the J is like a h sound, not a j, so it's not joven, it's joven. And that one, because it ends in a consonant, it doesn't change for masculine or feminine, so it just stays as joven. Viejo or vieja, meaning young. And musculoso or musculosa, muscular. So again, these words are adjectives, so the ones that end in an O change to an A ending if you're describing someone who's feminine, with the exception of joven, because that one doesn't need to change. So again, just pause the video and maybe if you want to write this vocab down, please do, and think of how you describe yourself. Would you say, soy guapo? Hopefully you wouldn't describe yourself as feo. Would you say you're joven or viejo? And then finally, would you describe yourself as musculoso or musculosa? And when you're ready, just push play. Okay, we can also use this same structure for talking about personalities. Now, we won't go into much detail with personalities right now, but just to show you that the same structure, I am, soy, plus an adjective, can also be used to talk about personalities. So we could say soy inteligente. Hopefully you know what that means. Soy inteligente. I'm intelligent. Soy generoso or generosa. I'm generous. Soy tímido, tímida. Soy creativo o creativa. Just pause the video and have a think about what those last two, tímido and creativo, might mean, and when you're ready, push play. Okay, so tímido, if you're a native English speaker, hopefully that reminds you of the word timid. So it's a word that means shy or timid. Soy tímido, I'm shy, or soy tímida. And creativo, creative, artistic. So all of these except for inteligente have an O ending in the masculine and an A ending in the feminine. Inteligente, because it ends in an E, that one just stays the same for men and women. Now if we want to make things even more interesting, we can add a bit more detail by using words called quantifiers, or sometimes referred to as intensifiers as well, because they quantify or they intensify the adjective. So they're words like un poco, a little or a little bit, bastante, quite, realmente, really, and muy, very. So instead of just saying soy bajo, I'm short, we could say soy bastante bajo, I'm quite short. Or if you're really, really tall, way above average for your age or your gender, you could say soy muy alto or muy alta, I'm very tall. If you're a little bit fat, not fat but chubby, you could say soy un poco gordo or un poco gorda. Okay, so if you want to write these words down, please do, and maybe think of how you can integrate these into your response. So if you want to just describe yourself as short or tall, you could maybe say I'm quite short, I'm quite tall, or I'm really slim. Obviously you couldn't say you're really average, or quite, you could say quite average, I suppose. Soy bastante mediano. Okay, so pause the video if you need to, and if not, let's move on. Okay, a bit of a writing activity now. What I want you to do is to use this model, this structure, to write a personal description about yourself. So we can say, hola, me llamo, then our name. Tengo los ojos, eye color, remembering that the adjective, the color word, needs to represent ojos, which is a plural noun, so it needs to become plural as well. Y el pelo, and then an adjective, which is masculine and singular. Y, and then we can talk about style and length. So a bit of recycling of previous vocabulary. And then, with the focus of today's video, we're going to talk about our physical appearance in terms of height and weight, shape, personality. So soy, then I want you to use a quantifier. So muy, realmente, bastante, o un poco. Height, so alto, mediano, or bajo, or alta, mediana, baja. Y, and then a personality word. So the ones we looked at were inteligente, creativo, creativa, tímido, tímida, and what was the other one? Generoso, generosa. Okay, pause the video and get started with that. And when you're done, make sure you read through it and check your spelling, and also check the adjective ending. So O for masculine, A for feminine, and obviously when we're talking about eyes, because it's plural, it also needs to have an S. Okay, so my one would be hola, me llamo James, or me llamo James. Tengo los ojos azules y el pelo rubio y rizado. Soy bastante alto y inteligente. Okay, when you've written yours, it might be a good idea as well to read it out. Even if you're on your own, just read it out to yourself, because it's good to practice making those Spanish sounds like inteligente, those different sounds that we don't really make in English. So the word we've been using, soy, meaning I am, comes from the verb ser, which is the verb to be. Now, this is one of the hardest things about Spanish, that in Spanish there are two different verbs which both mean to be. And that can be a bit mind-blowing. So ser is the one we use with physical descriptions. You might have come across estar, which when someone asks us, how are you? ¿Cómo estás? And we respond, estoy feliz, estoy muy bien, estoy cansado. We're also saying I am, but that one we use for temporary things, whereas ser we tend to use for more permanent things. So physical descriptions we use ser for. How we're feeling in any given moment we use estar for. So the pronouns yo, I, tú, you, él, he, ella, she, nosotros, nosotras, we, vosotros, vosotras, you plural, ellos or ellas, they. Those pronouns, we need to know them because they might come up, but we don't necessarily need to use them because Spanish has this flexibility where we can drop the pronouns if we want to, as we've been doing, so we can just say soy. We don't need to say yo soy, we can just say soy. Now we're going to learn the other conjugations, the other persons of this verb. So soy means I am. If you want to say you are, eres. So someone might ask you, ¿Cómo eres? What are you like? ¿Cómo eres? And you can reply, soy inteligente or soy bastante alto. He or she or it, es. So he is, es. Él es. She is, ella es. We are, somos. Somos altos y inteligentes. Somos gordos y tímidos. Sois, you plural are, which always reminds me of soy sauce, sois. And then finally son, they are. So if we wanted to describe a brother, we could say mi hermano, my brother, is. Mi hermano es alto y delgado. My brother is tall and slim. If we want to describe various people, we could say mis padres, my parents. Mis padres son generosos. My parents are generous. So this is the verb ser in all of its different forms. And we use ser for date, occupation, characteristics, like being tall or being short, time, origin, like soy de Inglaterra, I am from England, and relations. Él es mi hermano, he is my brother. So this forms the acronym doctor or doctor. And that's an easy way to remember all of the different scenarios where we use the verb ser. So hoy es lunes, today is Monday. We use ser for that. Soy profesor, I am a teacher, that's an occupation, I use ser for that. Soy alto, I'm tall, characteristic, ser. Son las 10 de la noche, it's 10 o'clock at night, we use ser for that. Okay, all of the other things we use estar for. Estoy feliz. We also use estar for location. But this is one of the things that it's a bit difficult to get your head around when you first come across it in Spanish, but over time it all makes sense and you see ser and estar in loads of different contexts, and you just, with time it just becomes second nature and you don't even think about it. To practice all of the things we've looked at in this video, we've now got a bit of a reading comprehension. Now what we're going to do first of all is I'm just going to read through, and I want you just to follow the words, read through with me as I read through. This is a good activity just for you to get used to the sound spelling links, just to understand how these words sound in Spanish when they're read out. And then I'll give you some questions to answer. Hola, me llamo Sofía. ¿Y tú? ¿Cómo te llamas? Yo tengo 12 años y vivo en Buenos Aires, en Argentina. Mi cumpleaños es el 4 de agosto. En mi familia hay 4 personas, mis 2 madres, mi hermano y yo. Mi hermano se llama Emiliano y tiene 8 años. Yo tengo los ojos marrones y el pelo negro, y soy bastante baja y muy delgada. En cuanto a mi personalidad, diría que soy muy inteligente. Mañana en el colegio tengo inglés, biología, historia, español y matemáticas. Okay, so I now have 9 questions that I want you to answer. So what you need to do is read back through, pick out the necessary information, and then write your answers down in English. Or if you don't have a pen and paper with you, just think through the answers. So you need to find out her age, what questions she asked the reader, when her birthday is, how many people are in her family and what family members are there, 2 details about her brother, the colour of her hair and eyes, 1 word that she uses to describe her personality, and the subject she has tomorrow at school. So when you're ready, just pause the video and work through those questions, and then when you're finished, push play and I'll go through the answers. Okay, let's go through. So how old is she? She's 12. She says, Tengo 12 años. I have 12 years. The question she asks is, ¿Y tú? ¿Cómo te llamas? And you? What is your name? Her birthday is el 4 de agosto, the 4th of August. There are 4 people in her family. En mi familia hay 4 personas. And those people are her 2 mothers, mis 2 madres, her brother, mi hermano, and her. So she says, y yo. Yo means me. 2 details about her brother. He's called Emiliano and he's 8 years old. Tiene 8 años. Sophia's hair and eyes are brown and black. So ojos marrones, brown eyes, y pelo negro, and black hair. She says she's inteligente, she's very intelligent. So she says muy inteligente, very intelligent. And tomorrow at school, she has English, biology, history, Spanish, and maths. So even if you've never learned the words for different school subjects, hopefully you've worked those out because they're quite similar. Biología, it looks a lot like biology. Matemáticas looks a lot like mathematics. So bringing all of this together now, we've got the verb ser, to be, in its 6 different forms. Soy, I am. Eres, you are. Es, he, she, or it is. Somos, we are. Sois, you plural are. And son, they are. We've got some quantifying words like bastante, realmente, muy. Then we've got our adjectives to describe our physical appearance like bajo, baja, alto, alta, gordo, gorda, delgado, delgada, mediano, mediana, y some extra ones, feo, fea, guapo, guapa, joven, viejo, vieja, musculoso, musculosa. Okay, so I'm just going to give you some phrases in English, and I want you to try and think about, or write down if you can, how you would translate that into Spanish. So the first one is, I am very short and muscular. Strange combination. Tom Cruise. I am very short and muscular. Okay, pause the video if you need to, and then when you're ready, push play. I am very short and muscular. Soy muy bajo y musculoso. Soy muy bajo y musculoso. Okay, next one. We are slim and good looking. Okay, so no quantifier in this one, just we are slim and good looking. Now for this one, because it's we, that means it's more than one person, so the adjectives would then need to gain an S to show that they're describing something that's plural. So it would be somos, delgados, y guapos. Somos delgados y guapos. Now finally, you are quite fat and good looking. You are quite fat and good looking. Eres bastante gordo or gorda, because we don't really know who we're describing here. Eres bastante gordo o gorda y guapo o guapa. And that brings us to the end of this video lesson. Muchísimas gracias por ver. Thank you very much for watching. Some next steps, próximos pasos that you might want to take are to practice reading out your own personal description, or going back and writing out a really good one if you haven't done that already, and to describe different members of your family or your favorite celebrities. So now that we've got the 6 different forms of the verbs ser, to be, we could say Ed Sheeran es bastante bajo y guapo. Okay, Ed Sheeran is quite short and good looking. Maybe you disagree. You could write a different description of Ed Sheeran or your favorite celebrity if you want to. Otra vez, muchísimas gracias por ver y espero que te vaya muy bien con el español.